winning isn't easy. Negotiating a separation agreement with your employer without jeopardizing your long-term disability claim. Again, employers like to dangle separation agreements in front of people, but having such a short-term view of an employment release in exchange for a lump sum of money can come back and really bite you and make your situation, your financial situation, much worse. If they're dangling that agreement in front of you, you want to read it closely, because more often than not, buried deep in the agreement is a clause that says you're giving up your vested rights, your ERISA rights. That includes pension benefits, life insurance benefits, group health insurance benefits, and your disability benefits. Now, do you really want to give up all those benefits in exchange for a lump sum of money? As I have discussed in earlier segments of this episode, there can be lots of unintended consequences. One of the unintended consequences that I didn't talk about was the loss of a life insurance policy. If you are disabled and you are, want to protect your family in the event of your death, and you're giving up your rights to your life insurance policy, you got to realize you're probably not insurable. So one of the things that you are going to want to be talking about is letting you convert your group life insurance policy to an individual life insurance policy and find out how much that's going to cost. Because ultimately, as I said, you're uninsurable. The other unintended consequence, of course, is that the value of your benefits are greater than the amount of benefits being offered in the severance agreement. And the fact that the severance agreement monies can be used by the disability carrier plan to reduce the amount of your long-term disability benefits. So there are money traps, there are group health traps, there are life insurance traps, and there also can be pension traps. Well, what do I mean by pension traps? Sometimes people also have pensions that are triggered by a disability claim. And again, you have to go get your pension plan and potentially consult with a pension lawyer or an ERISA disability lawyer. Because if part of the release says you're also giving up your rights to pension benefits, that's a problem. And if the pension benefits can also be triggered by a disability, in other words, you don't have to wait to get your pension based on longevity of service, and you're giving up your pension disability claim, then you're walking away from, again, money that you need right now that is potentially collectible. So there are all sorts of ancillary benefits that are associated with an employment separation agreement that can be impacted. And simply having this big pile, or maybe not such a big pile, of money in front of you can be tempting. So what can you do to protect yourself? If you decide to go forward with the monetary terms of the severance agreement, it's crucial that you negotiate the terms of the agreement with your employer. So you get a copy of your disability policy or plan and read it cover to cover to understand what's offsettable. You get a copy of your pension agreement to see whether or not there is a pension disability provision. And you understand what the proof is and what the impact is for you accepting this severance agreement. You do the same thing with your life insurance. You need to understand if you can convert that to from group to individual. Same thing with your health insurance. You need to understand, can you convert it to an individual policy? How much is it going to cost? How much is it going to cost you in the open market to get coverage? And obviously, you need to have all of this in front of you before you start negotiating and making a counter proposal. If this severance pay, salary continuation, earning vacation time can be considered an offset and use your benefits, you want to negotiate with them a provision that says this money that's being paid, the severance money, does not constitute any of these offsettable incomes. You also, most of these releases will say you're giving up your right to ERISA benefits. You want your employer to remove the clause for all ERISA benefits. That is like non-negotiable. you want your employer to remove the language that says you're giving up any vested benefits, because there can be a dispute about, after the fact, what's vested, what wasn't vested. And you don't want to get into that. You want the negotiations to ultimately to negotiate a release that says vested and unvested benefits remain. You also want an affirmation clause about the nature of other benefits. You want them to represent that, in fact, certain benefits are going to be paid in a certain period of time, in a certain amount, and they don't have any adverse impact on your ERISA benefits. If your employer refuses to negotiate, I think that tells you what it is you need to know. And hopefully you're not so desperate that you give up your important and valuable rights to these types of benefits in exchange for a lump sum of money that is just going to temporarily get you out of your financial problems, but make them ultimately worse. Got it? Let's take a break.